I have a young man in the program right now who swam in the Pan Am Games, was fifth or sixth at World Juniors in his 200 fly. So yes, we do have athletes. I wouldn't say it's the majority. I don't fool myself. They come to Waterloo because of the academics. The difference now is, before I came here, they came to Waterloo purely for the academics, and they happened to swim.
Okay.
Now they come to Waterloo for the academics, but they want the swimming as well.
This episode is sponsored by J&J Garage. Top quality, cheap prices.
J Garage, we do excellent brakes and clutch repair. Pressure plates, flywheels, disc brake pad, brake shoes, clutches. Any job you have, cars, vans, jeeps, buses, trucks, and tractors. Just call J&J Garage, 1-876-408-3836, 887-7504 for all your pickup and delivery service throughout the 14 parishes.
I wouldn't like to say difficult, but there were things going against me. I'm a woman and I'm black. And our swimming community here in Canada is very underrepresented by the black community.
Okay.
So that's why I really have to thank Andrew Cole, because he took me in with tremendous respect for me and introduced me to the swimming world. I don't know if I had come in a different environment, I would have got where I got. So by the time I came to applying for the Waterloo job, people had begun to get to know me.
Okay.
But it still wasn't there. It took me the first couple of years at Waterloo, where the team has improved in the last so many years. I've been here 8 years now, to earn the respect. That's the way I would say. It's a case of earning the respect.
Yes. And now how comfortable you are?
Oh, I'm very comfortable now. And I laugh because I was at our university national championships this weekend gone, and I just laughed to myself how different it is now. There's certain coaches. I work in an area that is very male dominated, and we were even making a joke because there's 3 women head coaches with the University of Guelph, Laurier University, and me.
Yes.
So we're very close. And the first meeting we all went to as head coaches, we put our hands up to vote, and the president of the Coaches Association at the time said, only 1 vote per school. And we all looked at each other but we're all from different schools. And it was he couldn't believe that 3 women could be head coaches.
Yes.
So it's a lot different to that now.
It's a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about your life here in Canada. But, our sports family, if you like what Jacky and us and what Jacky is sharing with us, certainly just go ahead. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. But we encourage you, to leave your comments in the comment section, of course, and let Jacky and us know exactly how you feel about her career so far. She had 19 years in Jamaica. She have 8 years here in Canada. Tremendous amount of accolades that she have acquired, over the years. And of course, she's still one of Jamaica's well-loved national coaches of all sports and of all time. But Jacky, I want to jump back in here and talk to you about your life here in Canada. How is it? I know for me, it has been way different coming from sunshine to where it snows all day long. It seems to me. What is this life in Canada? Do you have this?
Hey everyone, check out this bump-free spray. It stops grown hair to show you just one spray. It's that easy. No bumps, no irritation, just smooth skin. Get yours today.
One of the among our people.
Right.
And it's because we just don't know how to swim.
Correct. So I'm also looking at, there's possibilities that some of these girls can go on to become lifeguards. Things like that. Coaches even. I mean, I'm very fortunate. One of my assistant coaches is from Antigua, and she swam on the 2012 in the 2012 Olympics for Antigua.
Yes.
So that's nice. I have a Caribbean person to work with.
Understand that you have, with youth sports and McMasters, there was some Canadian championships that, a couple of Jamaicans came to, a couple of Caribbean persons came to Markham Panam Center.
Yep, that was last weekend.
That was last week?
Yes. So, there's not many of us in the community, so I know all of them. So we have Brady McPherson-Lewison, became a founder of a group we call the Alliance. And that gave me a platform to do what I've always wanted to do, is have free learn to swim programs. So we managed to get some provincial funding.
Yes.
And then we worked with a community organization. And it started out as families. Now it's primarily a girls and women program. So girls and their moms. And I had to pause it for a year because we lost funding. We couldn't get any more local, but I have just recently got some federal funding for it.
Yes. And how is it going?
Well, we're about to start back at the end of April. And we are doing a short period this time, and then we'll start back, and we'll go till the end of May. Then we'll start back in September. When I used to have 48, I could have filled the pool twice that number. We have to turn people back.
Okay. What kind of talent is he coming out of these communities, though?
I wouldn't say we're not looking for talent there.
Okay.
We're teaching people to swim for a life skill. The drowning rate among the Black community in Canada, of the drowning rate, it's one of the highest.
Yes.
Who swims for McMasters in his first year. His mom, Maria, actually swam for Jamaica. She went to Dalhousie University.
Okay.
And then I think it's the Commonwealth Games Maria went to. Her son, they live in Canada now. Came, I think, a few years just before me. Brady swam World Juniors last year for Jamaica. And his first year.
This episode is sponsored by J&J Garage. Top quality, cheap prices.
J&J Garage, we do excellent brakes and clutch repair. Pressure plates, flywheels, disc brake pad, brake shoes, clutches. Any job you have, cars, vans, jeeps, buses, trucks, and tractors. Just call J&J Garage, 1-876-408-3836, 887-7504 for all your pickup and delivery service throughout the 14 parishes.
Discovering what university swimming is about, but the fact he made it to youth sports, which is the Canadian Universities Championships, is a big thing.
Okay.
Because you have to do qualifying times to get there. And his 100 back, top 24 make the finals, and he was 23rd with a season best. And I think, we chatted while we're there. It's your first year is a learning experience.
Yes.
And then who I'm also excited about is a guy called Elijah Daly. He represents Bermuda. One of his parents is actually Jamaican, but he has swum Carifta and all of that for Bermuda. But he had an outstanding youth sport. He was third in the 200 fly in a PB, fifth in the 200 IM in another PB, sixth in the 100 fly in another PB. So, and he's a first year at the University of Toronto.
Okay.
University of Toronto has the best, I shouldn't say best, they are the top team in Ontario.
Yeah, and it's because they have a wide program, they have a big program there.
Facilities, two good coaches who have been Canadian national coaches over the years.
Yeah.
Funding, they really have a good program. And then we had Danielle Treasure. She's from Barbados, swims out of Western. I think she might be in her last year. She finaled in 4 out of 4 events that she swam in.
Yeah.
Her highest placing was 13th in the 200 free. I see she went a personal best in her 200 back. She has represented Barbados in the past as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Jacky, just to throw back to Jamaica a little bit, I wanted to always ask you this question. What is it that you would love to see for Jamaica as an island, as a country who have produced Janelle, who have produced Aliyah? What would you like to see for Jamaica?
there's many things, but if there was one thing I'd like to see right now is GC Foster opening a pool.
Or opening the pool?
Yeah, there's things to be. I've been on so many committees over the 100 years for there.
Yes.
But I truly believe one of the big differences in track and field and the whole growth of the base of track and field is because the quality of coaches that we have all over the island now.
It's because of GC Foster.
It's because of GC Foster.
So opening up a pool at GC Foster will help to shape what swimming can be. Because I don't want to believe that you think that swimming in Jamaica can be top notch.
When I lived in Jamaica and I used to have coaches come down and they would say to me, your kids are super talented. But when you live in it and you see it all the time, you're like, they're just saying that because I bring them down to run a clinic. Now I have lived in Canada, I truly believe that.
So you're looking from outside now.
Yeah.
And you can see what persons outside were always telling you.
Right. And I have another close friend who coached with me for years in Jamaica, Catherine Limsang. She's the one that started the whole synchro program as well. And she lives in Atlanta now. And we both had chats on this. And we both feel the same way, that we do have talent in Jamaica.
Yeah, the Jamaica swimming, you think, can be, as anywhere in the world, putting in the infrastructure, putting the money behind it. Our student athletes can definitely take us exactly where track and field is. That's your feeling.
Exactly.
That's your feeling. So, Jacky, as we come down to the end of it, my final question to you: what makes Jacky keeps going at swimming? What keeps you going day after day after day, moving from Jamaica to cold Canada, and you're still doing the same things and even more and offering more of yourself. What keeps you going?
I think the move to Canada was at the right time for me.
Okay.
Because it's a new challenge. University coaching is different to primarily age group coaching that I was doing in Jamaica.
Yes.
What keeps me going? When you have a mother of 95 who played badminton until she was about 90.
Wow.
And you have that as your role model, it's a whole lifestyle. I don't know any different.
Yeah.
And we were taught as a family to try and help others.
When you retire, what would you love to be remembered for?
That I helped teach you life skills and helped you on the way in your life to be what you want to be.
To be what you want to be. Jacky, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. Jacky Beckford-Hendricks. Now, moving from Jamaica to Canada, I would say it's a big move, but Jacky said that she loves it quite well, but she go home quite often to ensure that she resets and come back, Coaching the university national team here in Canada, also coaches at the University of Waterloo. Jacky.
Not University national team. I coach at the University of Waterloo.
You coach at the University of Waterloo.
I don't do national work.
You don't do the university's team.
No.
No, it's just the University of Waterloo.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, fantastic, Jacky. Well, we appreciate you, and I want to let you know that I have been appreciating you. I'd really love to see you as the national coach in Jamaica, because I can remember a lot of contribution that you would have made to the national program in Jamaica, and some of the achievements that we have had under your stewardship. And I'm sure with you being here in Canada, you'll be able to put some of that before you decided to walk away from the sport and just go relax. Maybe back in Jamaica, who knows?
Well, my niece has just got selected as one of the national coaches for Carifta.
For Carifta.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations on that. But we really appreciate you, Jacky, and thank you for being a son of the soil of Jamaica as well, and certainly bringing your experience to the international world as well in Canada, and doing what you love best. And I'm just appreciating talking to you right now today, and just wish you all the best with your career moving forward.
Thank you very much. And best of luck with your venture here.
Yes. Thank you, Jacky.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back, sports family, to the SportGlobe YouTube channel. We celebrate our game, our culture, and our globe. Today we are going to be shining the spotlight on one of Jamaica's, trailblazers. Of course, it is in swimming, and we're talking none other than Jacky Beckford-Hendricks. Of course, she came to Canada recently. She had been coaching in Jamaica for approximately 19 years and came to Canada in 2017 to the University of Waterloo in Ontario. And of course, I see where she is started moving up the ranks as well, in terms of, getting into the top 100 powerful women. Is it in Canada? Ontario? Is in Ontario?
No, in Canada.
Is in Canada. Top 100 women in Canada. She's also part of the University Athletics men's swim. Maybe she's the swim coach but we're going to be finding out, for the University men's swim team of Canada. And of course, just continue to blaze these trails and continue to, journey on. I remember her from Jamaica when she was the head coach of the Jamaican national team for many, many years, But I want to say, subscriber, if you like what we are saying and like our conversation here, just continue to hit the subscribe button and share our videos with your family and friends, and all of the swim friends and family that you have out there. Of course, we're going to be talking swimming, and we always drop a video 4 times a week. And if you like our culture and like what we're saying, just continue. And if you like this video, certainly leave your comments. If you remember anything about Jacky, leave your comments there as well and let us know what's going on. Jacky, I want to thank you very much for catching up with us, and for us to catch up with you, because you have been traveling and moving. Catch up with you today, and just want to welcome you to our channel for sure.
Thank you for having me, Richard.
Fantastic, Jacky. It's good to see you, and you're your same old self, just the same way. But Jacky, let's talk a little bit about your background into swimming. How did it all started for you? Your roots in Jamaica, becoming national coach. If you can give us a quick synopsis of how that went and how you got into swimming overall.
Okay, well, my parents made my brother and I learn to swim at the YMCA. I was 8 years old then, and I then went on to swim for the Y Speedos, which actually my parents were one of the founding members, and getting it all going. I then went to university in England to study physical education. My great plan at that time was to be a physical education teacher. I came back, I taught at Immaculate and then at St. Andrew High, my alma mater. And I've always learned to swim from I was about 13 years old. Mm-hmm. And then in 1989, decided to start, along with Pat Compa and Kim Ingleton, a swim club, which became Tornado Swim Club, which I'm very happy to say is still going.
Still going.
Yep. And then in the early 90s, was my first national coaching job in 1992. I did do one stint in 1984, and then from then on till 2012, I acted in the role of national coach, national technical director.
How did that all evolve for you in terms of you moving from school coach to becoming national coach? How that evolved? Of course, you mentioned that you did, did coaching at your club. But how that transition? How did you get into that position to become national coach?
At the time, the president of the Swimming Association in Jamaica was John Eyre. And
I remember.
John had great vision, and I think I was just in the right place at the right time, and John was willing to listen to my ideas. I come from a family, my mother was first president of the Netball Association in Jamaica, and I grew up in a very sports household, we'll call it that. You fight over the newspaper sports page in the morning back then. So sports has been my life all along, whether it was badminton, netball, swimming. And John had this sort of long-term vision for ASAJ, and we had very similar vision. So I just think I was in the right place. And I also have always felt there's always more to learn. So I created opportunities to go to the US and be on the pool deck of top coaches and, attend as many seminars, conferences, whatever I could.
Okay. So you have coached about 3 Olympic national team for Jamaica, 2000 Sydney, 2004 Athens, 2008 Beijing, and of course the likes of Alia Atkins as well. Talk to us about your experience in working with some of these elite athletes, going to these top flight Olympic games. What are some of the experiences that you had? What was it like for you working, at this level?
So 2000, terrifying. At the time, Janelle Atkinson was ranked in the top 3 in the world.
Yes.
In 800, and I'm coming in. She was swimming in a program called Bowl School in Florida. So I'm coming in really at the Olympic Games and in the pre-camp, and her coach did come along. And these are the type of opportunities that I had, and was treated very well by people like Larry Schoaf, who was Janelle's coach at the time. A lot more experience than me. So I was on the deck with him. And that, I think, has helped to shape my career, having mentors like Larry.
Yes.
And so, you're suddenly put in a situation where you're not ultimately responsible, but you do have some responsibility. So it was a big learning curve. Then I also believe that these swimmers have what I call the X factor.
So what they did.
They have that makes them different to the average swimmer. And people like Janelle, the drive. I can remember giving her sets that Larry had written, but I had to be the one on the deck actually going through with her. And we laugh about it now. She would get very miserable. And I'm a young new coach at the time. And I was like, oh my goodness, am I doing this right? He would give her a set to do, say to me what he expected, and she would exceed what he expected. I never forget being with Alia. Actually, this would have been 2016 World Short Course Championships, which was actually here in Canada. There was something, her coach hadn't arrived, so I was with her for the first few days. There was something on her dives that I was corrected. she would not leave the pool that day until that was corrected.
Wow. Alia.
Yeah.
Between Alia and Janelle, in terms of talent, how would you contrast both of them in terms of talent? I know you don't want to make, who is better than who, but in terms
I
of
wouldn't
talent.
say anybody is better. They're different individuals, but they both have that strong, stubborn nature that made them as good as they were.
Yeah.
And that's what really, I believe, because all of us get in and train this, the same amount, all the hard hours, that sort of thing. But I believe that you have what I call the X factor that makes you go that extra mile.
Mm-hmm. What would you say in terms of your career and coaching at this level? Of course, Jamaica, they have lack of funds, but what would it have done if you think that having more money for swimming would have made swimming in Jamaica much better? Or is there other factors that, make our swimming in Jamaica be where it is even today? What do you think would be the reason that we can't get over the bridge, getting an Olympic gold medal, that kind of a thing? Because we had the likes of Janelle, we had the likes of Alia. Those were Olympic gold medal prospects, but we still wasn't able to get over. What is it that you think would have caused us not to get there?
Well, funding is definitely a major part of it. But if you look at, say, the USA swimming, they have a humongous base. Thousands, millions of swimmers in competitive swimming. So the bigger your base, the bigger the top of the pyramid is going to be.
Okay.
So when you think that, I don't know what the numbers are actually registered now. Say there are 500 swimmers registered per year in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. How many are really going to come through to the top if you only have 500 at the bottom? So if we were able to really spread swimming throughout the island, if we had more pools, that would definitely expand the opportunities. Then after that, we also need to be able to fund the swimmers going to more meets. I am back sitting on the technical committee for swimming in Jamaica since January of last year.
Okay.
No, year before, January 2024, actually.
Okay.
So the committee is really trying to see what opportunities they can give to as many swimmers as possible. Because like other sports, you can't just jump up and go to the Olympics after swimming your little local meet in Jamaica and expecting to be successful. You need to go out there. You need to swim the Grand Prix meets, the World Champs, the Continental Championships.
Yes.
But funding, and this is probably a little bit controversial now, but back when I was a national coach in Jamaica, we didn't have to worry about funding for swimmers for the Olympics, Pan Am Games, CAC, Commonwealth. Now the JOA doesn't take that full responsibility for those meets. So they fund portions of,
those meets.
Right. So, whereas before you were able to think, okay, World Champs is Swimming Association's responsibility and anything else we do, but at least those major meets, you're not having to think about funding for those.
Okay. Jacky, I want to take you back to, I think I can remember a conversation, or there was a couple of conversations that started with widening as you talk about widening the scope or widening the reach for getting lots of kids involved into swimming. There's always there's always prep school, but there's always a limited amount coming from like the primary school level, from that cohort of the society, kids coming into swimming and to widen the talent pool, as you suggested. What would have prevented, or what is causing this what is causing this from not happening in terms of widening that pool? Because, I mean, everybody always, and I can remember a lot of swimming personnel always talk about Jamaica have so much body of water right around the island, and yet still a lot of us cannot swim. I know there was an effort back then, and I'm sure you was the head coach or the national coach then when that conversation was going on. Why we have moved to, widen the swimming pool?
Yeah, funding is a major reason. It's interesting. I was in Curacao in December, January with my team from here, from Canada. And their government has now committed, much smaller island I do know, to having swim lessons for their primary school children. And the government is funding it. So really, why is it the prep schools primarily? Because parents are paying for it.
Okay.
So funding is really the big issue with that. That's my dream. I'll go back to Jamaica when I can run free learn to swim which I have actually been able to do here in Canada.
Okay. Jacky, your transition to Canada now. I'm curious, you have gained a whole lot of coaching reputation right around the world, I would suspect, bringing a team with low funding from Jamaica to compete, at the highest level in the world. What would have transitioned you to Canada? What had caused you to be able to be here in Canada doing what you love?
Why am I here in Canada? Because this guy who I swam with when I was 10, many years later,
Yes.
that's why I'm here.
Okay.
That's how the Henricks got added on to my name.
Okay.
So I actually came in 2014.
Okay.
And started at McMaster University.
Oh, you started at McMaster's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As an assistant coach. And I had another John Eyre, the head coach. And when I say that from a mentor point of view, Andrew Cole was the best introduction to Canada I could have had. And he respected the work I had done in Jamaica. And I moved on after 3 years at McMaster to the University of Waterloo when the head coach position became available.
What is it like though? I mean, as a coach, head coach in Jamaica, coming to a big country like Canada, getting into a huge swim program at McMaster University, University of Waterloo, the university men's head coach. What is that transition like for you? How are you doing that? It's almost like
my women's team will be offended. I am the women and men's head coach.
Oh, you're the women's coach as well.
Yes.
Okay, for the universities. Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
The transition initially
that you feel like you want to go back home. What is it like? I know you said that you have lived in England for a little bit, but Canada, what is it like?
Of course there's days I want to go back home. And Jamaica will always be home.
Yes.
I now say I have two homes. What's life like? Fortunately, I'm in a job where I'm interacting with people every day. And each day is different. And when you're dealing with 50 university swimmers, and I always have coached, and who I'm coaching is my family at the time. So, the conversations that you have, I just think of this morning. I have a swimmer that is from Dubai. And so obviously dealing with what's happening with his family in Dubai. So he can't talk to them as often. So I have to be the support for him right now. And then I have another swimmer going on co-op. For 8 months. Can we sit down, Jacky? And so he's got a job with Bloomberg in New York. How do I deal with my swimming over that period? So every day is new. Um, I'm very spoilt. I go to Jamaica a lot um, because my mom is there, and she's 95 now.
You're missing the place.
But I always call that my reset.
Yeah, okay.
So I go at least every 4 months for at least a week.
What's
And
food like, Jackie? What's food like here? I know for me it's different. What's food like for you here?
Well, we cook Jamaican at home. So
But are you able to find
oh
the
no,
ingredients? You know?
in all parts of the world out in Waterloo, there's like one place.
Yes.
And I have just learned to accept that it is what it is. It's the closest I'm going to get to the food. I drive places. So my hobby, apart from my work, is that I have, well, one's retired, show dogs. So Jackie will drive 8 hours to go to a dog show.
Okay.
My dog is actually imported from Jamaica, a German Shepherd.
You brought him back. You brought him with you.
No, he came after me.
Okay,
But
you.
my mother was one of Jamaica's foremost German Shepherd breeders.
Yes.
So we grew up in that world, and that's my chance to get away from work. So I drive to dog shows and, get immersed in that world for a day or two.
Okay.
I like the part of there's different things to do, and I don't do enough of it.
Yes.
Going into Toronto to go to a show.
Right.
That I love that literally you could do that whenever you want.
Okay. So you have been settling into Canada quite well and quite comfortable.
Yeah.
You have been now to go back to swimming a bit now. Talk to us about your work at Waterloo. What are some of the achievements that you have garnered so far with your work at Waterloo?
The achievements I've garnered.
Yeah.
I brought a team that was, you had a couple of big stars on it, and Waterloo is a little bit different because our what we call co-op program is a big thing here.
Okay.
So the students who, I think it's about 75% of our university population, do what we call co-op.
Yes.
About 70% of my team is in engineering, computer science, or math, which is what Waterloo is like an Ivy League.
Yes, it is.
Of part of the world.
It is.
So they go to school for a term and they work for a term.
Okay.
Now, that's very hard when you're doing a sporting program. So it takes work on the athlete's part, depending on where their co-op can be anywhere in the world. I've had swimmers in Germany, California, but it's getting them to train through those periods when they're not here. So that's one thing. But when these students are finished, every one of them walks out into a job. And my ones who are graduating this April, they all have jobs already.
Is there any way, I know what Waterloo is. Of course, they are more on the education side than on the sporting side, but they do have these sporting programs. Are you looking for any one of your swimmers to make it to like the national team, to be able to go to, the Olympics?
Okay. I have on my team she just graduated. She swam junior open water for Canada the year before she came in. I have a young man in the program right now who swam in the Pan Am Games, was 5th or 6th at World Juniors in his 200 fly. So yes, we do have athletes. I wouldn't say it's the majority. I don't fool myself. They come to Waterloo because of the academics. The difference now is before I came here, they came to Waterloo purely for the academics and they happened to swim.
Okay.
Now they come to Waterloo for the academics, but they want the swimming as well.
Okay. All right. So let us talk about then where you have a broader swim pool. You have been teaching, racially challenged communities free lessons. How is that for you? And why did you decide to get involved in that?
So why did I decide to get involved in any anti-racism work? Because, we come from Jamaica. That's not part of what we grew up with.
Yes.
But when all the George Floyd thing happened, I've been so lucky. The athletic director at the university has become a good friend of mine. And he called me up during the whole George Floyd and says, Jacky, are you okay? I said, oh, of course I'm okay. Why are you calling me? She says, with all of what's happening with the George Floyd. So I then gave him a lesson on the fact that I'm from Jamaica. And we look at things differently.
Yes.
At that time, there were only 3 Black people in our department of 60 at the University of Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started, my son also went to McMaster, and we started having more, and he was a captain of the swim team there. We started having more conversations on things he had gone through that I was not aware of. And then from there,